And welcome to another edition. We're back of the Throwing Bagels Podcast. Hi, I'm Kevin Mooney, and I'm joined as always by Jason Hamo and Chris Douglas. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Top of the day to you.
Top of the day with the Irish accent, are ya?
Did you like it?
Could use some work.
Yeah, it wasn't the best accent in the world. I'm not gonna lie.
I tried. Worked in Irish.
Your
pub
Greek
once.
is way better.
Yeah,
My Greek is way better. You're right.
it's far superior. So, well, it is. We're now. We're not quite officially there into fall yet, but we're unofficially. I think it's fall. I think you'd agree. It's
We're a
close
week
enough.
away.
Or a week away. Colleges are open, and that's it. That's your sign. Schools are open from college all the way down. So fall's here, and that's it. There's nothing we can do about it. So let's talk more about that. Let's talk more about school and the fall. And I can't think of anyone better to have on at this point to talk about something very exciting. If you're a Throwing Bagels podcast listener and you're like us, graduates of the then your school of, or we're not even a school, you're just broadcasting and communication majors, really. But if you're from that track, if you took broadcasting in Oswego in any way, shape, or form, or print media, whatever, you're going to love this podcast because we're going to talk about probably one of the biggest moments in SUNY Oswego history. And to do that, we bring in the dean of the College of Communications, Media, and the Arts, Dr. Jennifer Knapp. Hi, Dr. Knapp.
Hey, Kevin, Jason,
Hey.
Chris, it's good to see you guys. Thanks for inviting me on again as a three-timer. Do I get a three-timer jacket?
We were
Yes,
just talking
yes.
about that. It's funny. We were just talking about that before.
Yes, you do.
I was saying how, SNL does the Six Timers Club or whatever it's called. So, yeah.
We'll get some hats. It's the hat trick, right? So we'll do that.
Very
The
on
hat
brand.
trick
Love it.
hat. Okay. Jen, it's been less than 4 weeks since Hewitt Hall opened its doors to students. What's the reaction been so far from the campus community?
It's everything we expected it to be. It is such a stunning building, and as soon as you walk in, you can feel the transformation of the building. It's undeniable. I know we've been talking literally for years. We've been talking about this now, but with all the natural light, so the sort of focal point of the building is what we call the collaborative core, and it's the very center of the building. It's right underneath the skylight that we installed in the building to bring more natural light in. And that space itself, it's meant to be a place where people congregate, but there's also seating for students to hang out. And so they come in and they find the spaces, they're finding the lounges, they're sitting in all the team rooms. They're eating at the cafe when it's open, and it's been really spectacular. I'll say that on the first day of class on Monday, August 25th, the day we had been counting down for many, many years. We watched the students come in, we watched faculty, because it's not just CMA faculty that are teaching in the building, which is really exciting. There's over 60 faculty that are teaching in there, and close to 1,000 unique students that are coming in and out. So there are some general classrooms for gen ed courses and just, other disciplines across campus. So they get to see the building as well. So it's been really outstanding to watch people's reactions. They are completely blown away. You feel like you've been transported to a completely different campus. It is really unlike anything at SUNY Oswego.
After years of working toward that moment, how much did it mean to you to see those doors finally open?
I'm going to be completely honest. It was difficult to choke back the tears. It's really that impactful. I'm sure I've used this phrase with you. Maybe we even coined it on this podcast at this point. It's hard to know, but it's once in a professional lifetime to get a building like this. And we've been hyping it up for so long as the premier facility for all the programs that exist within it. And the mix of programs is what makes it unique. It is certainly broadcast has always been our bread and butter, but all the other, the design students that are in there, the film students that are in there, in addition to the students who just are passing through from West Campus over maybe to, the Central Campus or East Campus, everyone's coming through and they're in awe. And so to watch people's reaction really was a very special moment. And there's been many times during this whole process where I've kind of either shed a tear or held them back, because it really is that meaningful, not just to the college, but for the university as well. So the university is really counting on us to fill that building and to really sort of take over SUNY when it comes to all the programs that we've got mixed into the building.
Would you classify this as kind of one of, if not your, I don't want to say your biggest achievement, but your biggest moment in your professional career?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. It's not even, I mean, like personal sort of goals aside, I can remember the moment where I got the letter in campus mail that I had achieved tenure and promotion. And that was a really special moment, but I got it 5 minutes before I had to teach. So I was like, had to pull myself together and pat myself on the back and then go back and, do the job. So, there's been so much anticipation and so much lead up. And, I know you guys pay attention to a lot of our social media posts, and anytime we put content out there over the last couple of years, you guys have always been right there commenting and cheering us on. And so, I mean, this is almost 20 years of planning and visioning, for what started as the School of Communication, Me and the Arts, is now the College of Communication, Me and the Arts. It feels like such a special moment to be part of the college. So no doubt it is something, and I don't say this because I'd take credit for any of it. I mean, it takes really, dozens of people to make something like this happen. But for me to sort of bask in it and then now be the ambassador for it, and to do, to be sort of the focal point and the sort of, media person when it comes to comments about it is really, it's very special. And I'm very grateful. I genuinely am very grateful every day for everything that the campus has done to make this happen, for SUNY to believe in us, at a time where higher ed is really facing a lot of challenges. I expect we might get into that tonight at some point. It really is very satisfying and very fulfilling.
So recently you sat down for a YouTube conversation about Hewitt Hall, and like I still have trouble calling it Hewitt Hall. To me, it's Hewitt Union. I know it's a brand new building. I get it, but it's just in my mind still Hewitt Union. And you mentioned the term artistic convergence. So
Yes.
how does Hewitt Hall facilitate that artistic convergence?
That's a great question. So you guys will know that the history of SCMA is that it's probably not okay for me to use this term, but we defected from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and we built our own little empire. And the goal was always to lean into interdisciplinary work. So many, it's not common, I will say, in academe for people to want to mix with one another. They very often want to stay in their silos. They want to build their own kingdoms, and they want to just do, their one thing really well, where we've always been so much more inclusive. And because we know that when it comes to the disciplines that comprise SCMA, now CMA or CCMA, we're going by CMA, so your listeners know. We've always been inspired by one another, and we've always wanted to collaborate with one another. And that's where that idea of artistic convergence comes to mind. So we certainly are very heavy in visual communication and visual arts. That is primarily what we do in our college, with but a real attention to history and theory and critical thinking and critical studies, frankly, and all of that. So it's the mixing of all of that that leads to this idea that we've always had of artistic convergence. And we're trying to get people to start calling Tyler and Hewitt together as the arts corridor. We're working on that. We're workshopping that one to see if we can get some mileage out of that, just to bring home that the arts are alive at Oswego, and there's lots of different ways for you to interpret what that means, and whether it's more visual art, which we would potentially include broadcast and filmmaking in that, but also studio art, music, theater, more traditional forms of communication, all of that. So it really is, again, that mixing of the programs that we've always been striving for. And now when you have a building where you are physically mixing, that's what brings about that artistic convergence.
Mm-hmm. And what does whether it's from a curriculum standpoint, career prep standpoint, anything, any of it really. What can Oswego do now with Hewitt Hall that it couldn't do before that?
That's a great question. So we've always had great equipment, great technology. That's really never been our issue.
I wouldn't
It's
say always, but
okay. We've
That's
strived
true.
for
That's true.
industry standard or better equipment and all of that. But our spaces have never been so aesthetically pleasing and inspiring. And so I think really what it is, and you'll see when you go in the building, and you probably know, you've been seeing the virtual tours and all that, that main thoroughfare, if you're going from Hart Hall over to Tyler, there's some real high points that you can see. So there's the video podcast studio. It'll be the first thing that you see, which is followed by a small broadcast studio, which is, just on the other side. And then you've got the Hewitt Ballroom, which is an event space, but it's also where the music department now has a music performance hall, which they've never had before. Waterman Theater is really more for theater than it is actual music. So just like you can, and then as you go down, you see our integrated newsroom, which is a space that we've never had before, where you can actually do a news broadcast from that space if you wanted to, and that'll get fed downstairs to the control room where we can sort of, send it out to the masses. And then you can, grab a coffee at the cafe right across the hall. So that even that first quarter right there shows you how we're mixing together. So you walk through, you're going to be inspired, but you're also going to be curious. You're going to want to know, all right, well, how does that work in the broadcast studio? Or what does it mean to be in an integrated newsroom? And let me just turn the corner right here. Like, is that music that I hear? Is someone rehearsing in the ballroom? It's just, there's so many things you don't know which direction to look, and you don't know which direction to go, because you're just like, what's that? What's that? What's that? It's really a lot of fun.
When you say the ballroom, is the ballroom like the actual where the ballroom used to be? Or is it?
Well,
Because I know there was
on
like that like, I forget what you guys called it, was like the place where people sat or are sitting, the high rise section, I'm talking about, like when you walk in, you have that like seating
like
area.
the retractable seating.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I guess technically like behind that would be like where the ballroom used to be, right?
Oh, yes. So the ballroom, it's my understanding the ballroom has kind of flip-flop from different sides over the
Okay.
years. So I think it started on the south side near Culkin. Then
Mhm.
the last version before we started the renovation, it was on the north side. And you guys probably went to some events
Yeah.
or maybe some reunion things over there. It's
Mhm.
back over on the south side. And
Okay.
it's great because it's got a full wall of windows that looks out into the courtyard which is also has been renovated, and there's new plants and things like that. So there's a beautiful courtyard with lots of seating. There's a patio on the outside of the ballroom. So you could have, in the good weather, you can have your events kind of spill out onto the patio, or you can use the courtyard. Our hope is that at some point we'll have a music performance out on that patio where people in the courtyard can sit. So that's the current version. So I don't know where your ballroom was,
The north
but
side
now
one. The north
That's
side.
on the
Yeah.
north side.
Yeah.
Okay.
The south side was the seating area, like the cafeteria.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes. So yeah, and that's the ballroom then is where the cafeteria used to be. Yes.
Before, you mentioned about how you could walk through Hewitt Hall and you would see broadcast studios, podcast studios. You might hear music from the music students, but there's also room for the film students as well, right? There's stuff that film students could do now that they were never able to do before, right?
Oh my gosh. And that is probably the most dramatic change is for our film students, no doubt. So, even our design students, our interaction design, our graphic design students, illustration, they had okay spaces. Our film program has essentially never had any spaces. They had one room in the basement of Mahar that they just put everything in. It was a digital lab. It was an analog lab. It was like, look over here. Here's some old photography equipment, next to the reel to reel. We'll show you how to use that when, and put your 8mm celluloid film through there. It was such a catch-all to the point where it was just like you walked into your mom's, your grandma's basement, and it was like all this collection of stuff. It was crazy. So now they have their very own screening room for their films, which, we had a colleague who was out at USC over the summer doing some research, and she was traveling with students, and she came back and she's like, our screening room is 12 out of 10 compared to what they have at USC. So you guys know me and my competitive streak.
And
Gonna get
that's impressive because USC is like supposed to be top of the
Pretty
food
For
good.
chain.
sure,
Yep.
for sure. Yes, yes. And I'm just saying the screening room, they've got some nice spaces other than that. But our screening room is fantastic. It's very intimate. It's both digital and analog projection, which is awesome. But they've never had anything like that. They've been nomads for
Mhm.
20 years. They had just been all over campus picking, the scraps that people would leave for them. They have a sound stage. I mean, you don't get sound stages on SUNY campuses. And so to have something like that where they can actually, now our film professors can teach them not just, how to compose a shot, but how to compose a shot on a sound stage, that's got its own lighting grid and all of that stuff is just really exceptional. And just the number of labs that they have. We had one partner that was going to run sort of like our art supplies store. It was called Artville in a previous iteration. It was going to be in the building. They decided that they were going to stay in Lanigan for a little while. And so it opened up another space. So we turned that into a media archaeology lab for our cinema and screen studies program because as I mentioned, we've got one professor who loves to teach our students on analog equipment. And so he's got all his film cutting supplies in there and splicers and his reel-to-reel and, all these wonderful projectors. Like you walk in and it smells like an old musty library. And when you walk into the building, you're like, ooh, new building smell. But then you go into media archaeology lab and you're like, old building smell. Yeah. And it's just the equipment, all the years and the cigarette smoke that it's absorbed.
Is that what it's called? Media Archaeology Lab?
Yeah, media archaeology. So preservation is an area that we're thinking about trying to get into. We've got some students that are interested in it. It's really not something that a lot of universities teach. You can imagine, out near Rochester, near Kodak, some of that happens. But at a regional comprehensive college or university like Oswego and other SUNYs, that stuff doesn't really happen. So that's a niche that we're thinking that we can really fit well into. And we can dovetail too. We're having conversations about that in the Department of Art and Design. They have a collection for the gallery that needs preservation. And so we're working to build another interdisciplinary program that is not just film preservation, but just preservation of art generally.
Have we had any other non-communications programs all of a sudden come in and be like, wait, we're a little bit jealous now. Where's our stuff at this point?
Oh, I'm starting to get tired of hearing my own voice, and the excitement that I bring to every meeting and every room because people are like, well, here comes the Hewitt lady again. I'm sure she's going to tell us something again about how magical it is. But so yeah, the jealousy is real for sure. And people are counting down. Mahar is the next building that's already offline. They cleaned it out over the summer and that'll be the next renovation that starts. I think later this fall is the plan. And that's going to be a pretty quick turnaround by our standards. They're going to do it all in one phase. So I think within a couple of years, Mahar will be renovated and back up online.
So you alluded to this earlier. The School of Communications, Media, and the Arts became the College of Communications, Media, and the Arts, I believe, earlier this year. What does that mean for CMA?
It means that we can get bigger and we can get more, well, I guess we could say we could get more diverse or we could get more specialized. And we will probably go in the direction of specialization. It gives us the opportunity to create schools now within the college. So like, let's say, for instance, we become the national leader in, film and art preservation or something like that. We could start a school to represent our kind of concentrated work in that area. So it allows us to really have a bigger footprint, when we're ready. We finally achieved this moment, like we started at the top of the podcast talking about the significance of this moment. And now it feels like anything is possible. And so where are we going to go next? That's as much for our faculty to help me decide as it is for me and our leadership team with, me and Kelly and our department chairs to decide where we're going to go next. But We are thinking about what our strengths are. Our strengths are in digital media, and that means different things to all of our disciplines in CMA. So is there something that allows us to create a program, whether it's an undergraduate program or a graduate program, that is the mix of all of our biggest strengths, is something that we're talking about. So
But I think we've talked about this in the past, like a gaming or an esports type thing. And I think you've mentioned that's like in the possibilities, or like to do something small that was already planned. Excuse me.
yes.
Is that something that you could start looking into now, like bigger and broader?
Yes, yes. So I'm actually working in this document right before we started recording the podcast. So, we've got, with our new president, we finally have a new strategic plan that we're launching this fall. And so all the colleges are, working to say, okay, what are our goals for the next 3 to 5 years? And esports has kind of evolved over the years, as we've been talking about it on the podcast, to maybe something like video game studies, which again leans into the CMA superpower of interdisciplinarity. So it won't just be broadcast, it'll be film, it'll certainly be art and design, with probably some of our friends in creative writing, because we've got some really strong faculty members who research and do, I'm butchering this, like video game narrative and things like that, and story construction for video games. For a while, we had some music professors that were interested in composing music for video games. So by going a little bit broader with the video game studies, we can again tap into all the different resources that we have in CMA and across the university. Weirdly enough, I think the computer science angle would probably be something that happens later down the line, just because, with everything that they've got going on right now, they don't necessarily have the capacity to help support an actual video game design major. But that, hopefully that'll be a track that we could add later on.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. But we had another space that was going to be an open lab, and we didn't need another open lab. We have a bunch of labs, frankly. And so we decided to repurpose that into an esports lab, and which really we want to make it really slick. Like those of you, that your listeners that are into esports and gaming, we got to have cool lighting. We got to have some really awesome branding. This was such a last minute decision that we weren't able to do a lot of that design work in the room to make it look super cool. But we have got these fantastic gaming PCs that are in there, and we are teaching a esports broadcasting class in there this fall with the hope. So you probably know we've got a Syracuse campus, and on the lower level of the Syracuse campus, it's not affiliated with SUNY Oswego. It's actually affiliated with the Syracuse City School District. There's an organization called Elite Gaming, which is an esports in a video game program, and they serve the whole Syracuse School District. And it's bonkers how successful this Elite Gaming has been in terms of getting students in there. And they're not just teaching them about gaming, they're teaching them video production, they're teaching them some audio production, some podcasting, editing, things like that, in addition to the actual gaming. All this to say that the plan is they host esports tournaments that our students, the Oswego students, will go down to Syracuse. They'll shoutcast for those tournaments. So they'll do the play-by-play for these students. So it'll just add another authentic element to the tournaments that they do at Elite Gaming, because now they'll actually have play-by-play too. So we're really excited about that.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. All right. So the three of us, as you know, went to Oswego about 25 years ago or so. And our coursework was generally getting ready for, print media, broadcast media, and so on. And I recently had met a young lady, local high school, in my, soccer referee travels, that was interested in getting into the digital media field and kind of going to school for that. And she had mentioned, Syracuse University and Ithaca College, and she had not mentioned anything about Oswego. And I said, you should really consider Oswego. Might be a better option for you. It'd be significantly cheaper, and you're going to probably get a better education. So what kind of an advantage does the opening of Hewitt Hall have for prospective students? And what kind of careers could they expect going into a program like CMA at SUNY Oswego?
Yeah, so I'll say, and this is, maybe sometimes a message that hits with the parents before it hits with the kids, and that's that you will not get a better education at this price point.
Yep.
Across nowhere in the nation are you going to get better facilities, better faculty, or a better education for the cost of SUNY tuition. So no one can compete with the facilities that we have, the faculty that we have, the curriculum that we offer students. So career readiness is baked into everything that we do at SUNY Oswego, not even just in CMA, but SUNY Oswego generally. We are very cognizant that higher ed is on the hot seat. People have real questions about the ROI of a college education. And so we work really hard and frankly, we got to work extra hard, especially in the arts, to prove that this is actually a path to a lifestyle, a career that is actually rewarding and fulfilling, and that you're not going to be panhandling on the street or something like that. And so, what you mentioned, Chris, is we have so many we call them, this is higher ed lingo, high impact practices, but it's that hands-on learning, that experiential learning that we value so well. It's truly baked into the DNA of SUNY Oswego and Sheldon. Edward Austin Sheldon, essentially invented the object learning method, that you're going to learn better when you can manipulate something and you can play around with it, as opposed to just someone talking to you about how a thing works. Like, let's take it apart, let's play with it. And that's what we do at SUNY Oswego. So, we've got these beautiful, so specifically in art and design, I mean, this particular student that you're talking about is going to walk into a gorgeous building, a brand new foundation studio that is built just for first year students. And so it's very special in how that room itself is actually configured for a student that wants to study digital media and design at SUNY Oswego. So I'm zero questions, and you guys know this. I'll put our programs up against any program any day. But what makes us special is that, one, we're affordable. Two, you're gonna get that real opportunity to build relationships with your faculty that matter and that are impactful, and that can help lead you to other opportunities, whether that's an internship, some sort of a mentoring opportunity with an alum. We've probably talked in the past about, every SUNY Oswego student is guaranteed an alumni mentor of some kind. And it's a person that works in the field that student thinks they want to enter into. So we've got so many different ways to support our students, no matter what their career goals are. But particularly in the College of Communication and Media and the Arts, we're really, really concerned about making sure they feel ready, that they can articulate their skills. So it's nice to walk away with a transcript, but can you actually talk about that transcript? What are you qualified to do? It's a legit question. What are you qualified to do as someone with a communication degree, so to speak? And it's not just speaking, but it's that writing, it's speaking, it's the teamwork, it's the persuasion, it's the critical thinking, all of that stuff. It's all that liberal arts education, and that we know that, 5 years after graduation, that's what's going to propel you to something really special in your career. We can help you certainly get that first job, but it's the SUNY Oswego and the liberal arts education that's going to sort of catapult your career trajectory within 5 years of graduation.
How is SUNY, and not just SUNY Oswego, but how is the SUNY system able to keep tuition as affordable as it is, while also trying to navigate these seemingly endless pressures to cut budgets?
Yeah, it is difficult, and all campuses feel it in different ways. And some campuses are better off than others. So the university centers at Buffalo, Binghamton, Albany, Stony Brook, they're still doing really well. But there are some days that us comprehensives, we get a little testy because, they have sort of broadened their admissions criteria. So they're accepting more students. So they're accepting the students that very often would have gone to Oswego or Brockport or Oneonta or Cortland or something like that. If they didn't get into one of the university centers, they usually come to the comprehensive. So that part has been a little bit difficult. And that's just sort of, family dynamics, if you will, in the SUNY system. But we are all feeling it differently. But what's great about SUNY is that SUNY is built to be accessible. And that's never going to change. You can put all the political pressure you want on a system like us, but we have strength in numbers. And I feel very grateful to be in a system like SUNY because we have so much power and we have so much clout, and we've got great allies in the chancellor. He's a great advocate for us, but also Governor Hochul is a great advocate for education and for higher education specifically. So we're really well supported in that way. So for us, it's about, recruiting new students, of course, but maybe even just as important is keeping those students. So our focus really has has moved to retention, making sure that the students who do commit to Oswego have the absolute best experience they possibly could, and that we can give them sort of the 360 support that they need when they arrive.
Let me preface this by saying we don't get political on here, and I'm not trying to get political at all, but you mentioned earlier, funding and things like that. And there's been talk more recently about, cutting budgets, especially for a state like New York, right? From the federal government for whatever reason. How would that affect, a school like SUNY Oswego, if that were to ever happen?
So it's maybe an answer that maybe you're expecting or that you're not expecting, Jason. So it won't affect us as a university in that, like in terms of our operations. Our operational budget comes from tuition, and it comes from, the percentage that we get from New York State. It's going to hurt our students. Our students, so many of our students now, a growing number of them are Pell eligible. They need federal loans and they need federal financial aid. And so when that gets cut off or when that gets tampered with, it hurts our students. So then which will hurt our enrollment, which will hurt our bottom line. So it's not so much the operation of the university directly from federal funding. It's more about the financial aid that our students receive. And if they can't get that, and I will say, maybe we talked about this before too, our students today are savvy in ways that, I think we're all the same age that we weren't necessarily when we were college students. And they're very loan averse and they're very risk averse. And so if you say, okay, I'm not going to give you any federal grant money or something like that, but you can apply for like a bank loan or something, they're like, well, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. They've got some real concerns about the ROI and all of that. Are they going to be able to repay all of that? So the landscape is so different. I mean, and it's even more competitive now with the demographic cliff. The number of college age students in the Northeast is reduced dramatically. And, especially in New York, you can't throw a stone without hitting 5 colleges or a university. And so when you're all trying to compete for the same students, it can be pretty brutal.
So let's switch up a little bit and let's talk about what we're really here to talk about, right? You have this
The Buffalo Bills.
Yes. We'll get to that later. We'll get to that. We can get to that later. We can get to that later. We have a big 3-day weekend coming up to celebrate, or technically like a 4-day weekend to celebrate CMA in late October, right? From the 23rd to the 25th. You did mention the Louis B. O'Donnell Summit will be on Thursday. What's the plan for those 3 days? And what are the odds a certain podcast can maybe take over a podcast studio during this time?
Well, I'll make some phone calls. I know some people. We'll see about that. Yeah. So we're really excited. I mean, it's too big to celebrate in one day. So we're going to just draw it out and we're going to do it in 3/4 days. Yeah. With travel, 4 days, we'll say conservatively. So yes, it starts October 23rd with the 21st edition of the Dr. Louis B. O'Donnell Media Summit, which will be in Hewitt Ballroom. We're really excited about that, to debut the space for that particular event. I was just in a meeting today talking about how we're going to sort of transform the ballroom to meet the needs for the Media Summit. So that'll be on Thursday, and it's all the usual things that you've come to expect with the Media Summit, with our panelists and our career connectors spending the morning and the early afternoon with our students in classes, talking with them, mentoring them, all of that. And then the panel, which if you can't attend, you'll be able to watch on the SUNY Oswego YouTube stream. And that goes from 3 to 4:30. And then after that, we have our career connector networking opportunity for our current students with our career connectors, which are, they don't have as heavy a lift as the panelists do, but they are there because they tend to be more recent graduates. So they're there to give our students advice about how to break out when right after graduation and those types of things. So that'll be on Thursday. Friday is the actual ribbon cutting for the event. It is invitation only. Maybe there's an invitation headed your way. You'll know later this week. And that's going to be primarily to celebrate with people that are here on campus, and then a lot of our advisory boards and foundation board members and things like that, and people, officials of the university, as well as local elected officials. We want them to come and see the space and tour the space so that they can also be advocates for Oswego, and they can talk to their communities about all the great things that are going on at SUNY Oswego. And then Saturday is really the biggest day of the 3-day celebration. It'll start, it'll probably start early in the morning. So I know you guys got some insider information about something that might be going on that Saturday, which will be an alumni takeover of WNYO. So that is the brainchild of the great Dana Murphy, as well as Dr. David Kreider in the Department of Communication Studies. He and Dana are good buddies. And Dana's always looking for ways to support WNYO. So she suggested, knowing that there were going to be alumni returning for the dinner on Saturday night, that maybe to raise a little extra cash for WNYO, we could do an alumni takeover. So it sounds like that's definitely going to happen. And then so that can go out throughout the day. But one of the highlights of Saturday is going to be open houses of both Tyler Hall, because there's still a lot of people who haven't seen the renovations of Tyler, as well as Hewitt. So it really is a celebration of not just Hewitt, but all of the College of Communication, Media, and the Arts, because we are at this really important moment in the existence of the college. So we need to celebrate all aspects of that. So you'll get to go in, and if you want to drop in on the theater department's rehearsal for their show, you can do that. That'll be ongoing. If you want to jump in and see what our recording students are doing, you can go see a demo. If you want to hear what our music students are doing, I think they're going to give a little mini performance. And then over in Hewitt, obviously, you got to see the podcast studios. You have to see the broadcast studios. You have to see the film students on the, in the sound stage, all of that. So you'll be able to go throughout the building and see all the amazing things that both Tyler and Hewitt contain. Then, so this is a long day. You guys are going to need lots of outfit changes.
I'm going to need a nap at some point.
You're going to need a
chicken
nap.
patty sandwich or something in between.
For sure. Yeah, you're going to need some Red Bull for sure. I'm going to need some Red Bull at this point. Yeah. So we've got the open houses. They'll probably be like noon to 2:30 on Saturday. We'll have, in addition to the reunion dinner that night, in the middle, we're also going to have a networking opportunity for our current students and the alumni that are coming into town, who then hopefully will be at the reunion dinner Saturday night. So we are borrowing all the greatest aspects of the communication studies alumni dinner. We're a year ahead. So that was when we met 2 years ago at that dinner. So we moved it up a year so that we could celebrate the opening of Hewitt, but we're also making it more inclusive. So it's not just comm studies, it's any alum of CMA. They'll be invited. So again, we get to practice this idea of artistic convergence. Maybe you'll get to meet someone new at the dinner that you never knew before, and you strike up a friendship with, or maybe even a business relationship. Who knows?
So where is the meetup with the students in the midday? Where is that taking place, and where is the dinner taking place?
The dinner will be in the ballroom. So yeah, you'll get, and it'll be all super
Nice.
fancy. Yes,
Under
we're
the
really
stars.
excited. Something similar. Yes, it's going to be magical. I've been telling our team that if it isn't magical, then we've failed, because if we can't pull something like this off, the College of Communication, Media, and the Arts, who do all of these things and make everything look so special, then you might as well run me out of town. So that's the plan. It'll be magical. So yeah, the dinner will be in the ballroom. The student thing, we're playing with a lot of different ideas. So we had thought about the students sort of hosting you in their spaces so that you can see them. So, whether it's a TV studio or maybe if it's the students, the ceramic students who have a really vibrant clay club, maybe you go in, you throw some pottery with them, something like that. Where that part is still probably one of the things that we haven't fully worked out yet, just because we've got students on our committee that are helping us plan all of this. As you can imagine, they've got a million ideas. So we just need to pick one and run with it. So
it's alumni student flag football. That's what's going to happen.
Wow.
Phew, I can feel my hamstrings tightening just thinking about that. Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
I referee and my legs are fine, but listen, man, if anyone just like brushes up against me, I'm going down. I mean, forget it.
I'm ready to go.
All right.
No, that sounds really great. Like a little something for everyone, no matter
Exactly.
what branch of CMA you may have come from, there's going to be something there for you.
Yeah, and what I didn't mention is that those open houses, we're going to invite the community as well. So one of the things that we're working on with the president is he really wants to be the hometown university. And that means, and we're really lucky with the work that we do in CMA because we can be a great conduit for that. So we've got performances, we've got ways for people to view or to engage with the work that our students and our faculty produce. So we're really lucky in that way. So we want to invite our community members in the city, in the county. We'll be inviting a lot of regional partners from school districts, guidance counselors, teachers who are running the media club in their high school and things like that. We'll make sure that they get invites as well, because we don't want to squander any opportunities to recruit new students or to share our story, frankly, with people.
All right, Dr. Knapp.
Lay it on me, Chris.
No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Woo-wee.
I mean, listen, they whacked the Jets. And one of my favorite parts of that game was when Sauce Gardner was blitzing off the left side there, and Josh Allen kind of turned and threw him away like a little kid.
Yes,
into the ether.
So satisfying when Josh broke that run. Oh my gosh, yeah, and to do it, against Sauce Gardner. I mean, he's legit for sure. So yeah, he made him look silly. That was, I will say there was. Well, you guys, we're all sports fans. We know how this goes. So, talk during the week is like, oh, is this going to be a trap game? Is it going to be a letdown game? The Jets looked really good against the Steelers, and they have a similar, exactly. And at the end of the day, Jason, you're right. It was just the Jets. And so we were just like, ho hum, I guess we'll just do this thing. And yeah, Josh Allen, I think it's the first game. I don't know in how long exactly, but the first game in who knows that he didn't factor into any of the scoring, whether it was a rushing touchdown or a passing touchdown. It's pretty rare for Josh to not factor in some way. So it was great. It was good. I could, do stuff around the house. I didn't have to be glued to the TV and, chewing my fingernails down to nubs. It was very different than the week before. That's for sure.
That week before that first game was amazing.
Yeah. What a game.
That was it still seems unbelievable that actually happened. Yeah, it was wild.
And of course, we have the Dolphins coming up on Thursday Night Football, which they'll win that game by a lot. They're favored by almost two touchdowns. So
that's
the Dolphins
bananas.
stink. They stink.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I mean, I would expect their coach is probably on the hot seat. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get him fired this week. We'll see.
It's a strong possibility.
It's a very strong possibility. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about the Giants, man. I was watching that score all day yesterday. I'm like, they're going to do it. And of course, like most people, I take so much satisfaction out of the Cowboys losing. And it's just, I
make fun of the Jets, but I mean, we're not much better.
Not much better.
No, we're not.
Not much better at all.
So is Daboll on the hot seat for the Giants?
Yeah. He's probably getting fired.
Okay.
he's pretty much if you want him back as your offensive coordinator, he may be available very soon.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, we got a good thing going right now. I think we'll roll with it. With Joe Brady. Yeah.
Pass.
Well, Dr. Knapp, go Bills. And thank you so much for joining us. And we really look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you guys and excited to show you around. Go Bills. Thanks very much.
And that was the Dean of the College of Communications, Media, and the Arts, CMA for short, Dr. Jennifer Knapp. That was a lot of fun, and man, this is gonna be quite the happening next month. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Seriously, it's a big to do.
Yeah,
It sounds like a fun weekend.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool.
and
Can't wait for it.
If only
And
the
we-
shed were still open, we could hit up the shed as
Oh,
well.
yeah, that'd be
Uh,
awesome. That would be so awesome.
Or greens, but
Yeah.
womp womp.
Well, we will. By the way, we will have Dana Murphy, the one and only Dana Murphy, on in another few weeks to talk more about this whole WNYO takeover, alumni takeover thing that's supposed to take place on Saturday. Like how that's going to work and how do we sign up and all that.
But we're
stuff.
breaking
So,
news here. We're breaking
breaking
news. That's
We're
it. We need a
we are
new. We
breaking
need a new.
news.
We need a breaking news sounder.
okay.
We'll work on that. We'll work on that.
Dun 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 dun.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
All right, yeah.
funny.
So, and because of course the three of us would be like, heck yeah, we might do our first ever live podcast.
Yeah.
You know
That would be wonderful.
I think
Right.
I think that's in the cards. And then
WNYO, absolutely.
Or
you know-
Kevin can do his 6-hour Genesis marathon.
that's right. That's what's
Where
going
he
to
plays
happen.
every album they've ever put out.
Oh, that would take about, I don't know, 13, 15 hours.
Oh, my
to play
goodness.
everything. But yeah, 6-hour Genesis marathon. One of
Yeah.
NYO's HD streams. I'll take one of those over and then just do that.
For those of you who
what
do
stream
not
it's
know,
on, so I don't listen to it.
yeah, for those of you who don't know, Kevin actually did a Genesis marathon when we were in school.
I did
Just for
more
the
than
record.
one. Yes.
Yeah, so
So
Was that at
because-
the end of the semester thing? Where you take over
Right.
and like
Yep, like finals week when you would just sign up for shifts and do whatever you wanted. And I think the last one, so we did because Allison and I are both big Genesis fans. So we did maybe the last couple of years, maybe my junior and senior year, we did one. I think I did one with John Quantz one year, and then or we may have done it with both years. I did one, and then the
Okay.
last one, my senior year, was like a 4-hour blowout. We did
Oh,
like the
God.
top. I forget what it was, like the top
old Genesis all the
50
time. Oh my
songs.
god.
I don't know, whatever.
all Genesis all the time here on WNYO.
That's right. That was fun. It was fun.
You're
It
like,
was.
turn it off.
I can't tell you how much time I spent back timing everything to make sure that I could get those 50 songs in that 4-hour block. I was like down to the second. Like, okay, when this song ends, you have 10 seconds before you can go to the next one. And that was. Had some time on my hands, I guess, to do that.
Guess so.
It
Way
all
too
worked
much.
out. I was like right on time. Ended at right at the 4-hour mark. The last
You
song.
ended exactly as the other person came into the studio.
That's right. I was out of there.
Who played 5 hours of Tribe Called Quest?
You know what? That one I would listen to.
I would listen to that too. One of the best ever hip hop bands
Yeah,
in history.
of all time, without a doubt.
So here's a proposal for alumni takeover. We might have to have Dana's help with this, but we would have to do a 90s marathon. Like we would
do
have
that.
to pick the best songs that aired on WNYO while we were there.
Well, that's not fair because we
That's-
weren't allowed to air certain songs on WNYO when
That's
we were
true.
there.
The songs that we had to play. I don't know if they have the records of those.
They weren't a lot of
traffic
good
logs.
ones, though.
There weren't, but
That's why when we had the freeform stuff, it was great because you could do
Yeah.
whatever the hell you wanted
I know.
and like play whatever you wanted to, not explicit, of course, but like,
Right.
still, you could still get away with,
there was some Tori Amos like back then. I would play some of that. That was some good stuff. What
we
else
had
did
some
they
Dave
have?
Matthews. We
Dave
had
Matthews.
I'd imagine.
I remember.
Bare Naked
I
Ladies was
remember
on the
when.
list.
Remember
Yes.
when the Verve
Bare
came
Naked-
out.
The
Was
Verve.
The Verve,
with
yeah.
Freshman.
Yes, that was like right when we were freshmen. right? 90s, like
That was
96,
97,
97, right?
97.
97.
It was like
Yeah.
97, 98. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Okay. So we weren't quite freshmen, but we were
Yeah. We were on our way to begin. We were like
young
towards the
enough.
end of sophomore year, freshman year,
Yeah.
or beginning of sophomore year. Yeah.
So that's my proposal. We do like a 90s block because we're not going to talk for an hour. Well, maybe we will. Maybe we can talk for an hour straight.
We absolutely can
pull
fill an
people
hour
in.
straight. There is no
we've
question
we've
can.
shot the breeze for an hour.
Exactly.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
So
We can even get is there a telephone line there still? I wonder if we can just get callers to call in and ask random questions.
Do they have a camera there, like a live camera feed?
I would
Good
have to think
question.
so.
I mean, yeah, we're in modern times now.
Dr. Knapp mentioned a video podcast booth. So
Well, that's in Hewitt Hall.
maybe we'll just take over some random studio in Hewitt.
Some
How
random
about that?
podcast studio
Take over. All right.
where we take over the hockey game.
You can't
We
stop
should
us.
take over the hockey
We should
game.
do that.
I
Don't
will
tell the
be-
students that though. We're
No,
just going to
I'll-
show up and
That's right.
push
I'll
them
be
out.
between the benches as a reporter. You guys can do the play-by-play. I'm fine with that. I'll be
Sounds
your
good to
Darren Pang. I'll be Panger.
Okay.
I'm down. Let's do it.
All right. So I think that'll do it for this edition of the Throwing Bagels podcast. Jason, Chris,
Kevin.
Jason.
thanks again to Dr. Jennifer Knapp for joining us, and maybe we'll see you at Hewitt Hall next
You should
month.
join us.
You should join us. Come on up.
Hey, join us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.